Hi everyone, welcome back to another Disney Lorcana video. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about getting cards graded. Specifically, what the process is like sending Disney Lorcana cards to PSA for grading, and also how to safely package your cards to be shipped to PSA for grading. So feel free to use the chapters at the bottom of this video to help you navigate to the sections that you are most concerned with. But to start, what is grading? So grading is basically, there's a couple different companies out there that do this. We're going to be using PSA for example, but grading companies will basically verify the authenticity of a card, ensuring it is a genuine Disney Lorcana card. It will grade the condition of the card. The exact grade formulas and criteria is unknown, but generally they look at the surface, they look at the centering, also the corners and edges, generally receiving a grade from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest for PSA. And lastly, they are also protected in these slabs, or people call them slabs, protective casing, protected from the elements. And quite frankly, they just look really nice in this packaging. So that's kind of the benefits of getting a card graded, is to obviously make sure it's authentic, it's in good condition. Now, the reason why you may do this is you might just be a collector looking to protect your rare cards, your enchanted cards, or just cards that mean a lot to you, like this foil Friends from the Other Side. But also from a resale value, generally cards will retain their value or could also be valued higher for the higher grade they have. So generally, obviously this gets into a whole economics type thing with how much cards cost and how much PSA 10 cards cost. But generally, the higher the grade, the better condition a card, specifically a rare card or an enchanted card is, generally it's going to hold its value a little bit better. So now that we've talked a little bit about what grading is, let's take a look at what I'm going to be preparing for shipment to PSA inside this video. I've actually selected 4 enchanted Disney Lorcana cards to be submitted. We have the Pete from Rise of the Floodborn, we have the Lady Tremaine from Rise of the Floodborn, we have the Morph from Into the Inklings, and we have the Ariel from Ursula's Return. So before we package these cards, let's jump into PSA's website and see what the submission form actually looks like. So whenever you sign into PSA's website, you'll be greeted with the ability to create a new submission. And from here, you have to select what item type you are sending to PSA. Now, they do things like trading cards, obviously, but they also do things like Funkos and packs and tickets and whatnot. But for us, we're just going to be doing the standard trading card option here for Disney Lorcana cards. The next option is selecting your submission type. This is going to be the service that it is going to receive. So whether it is the standard grading service, like the cards that I have shown you in the beginning of this video, where it is graded and slabbed. They even do crossovers. So if you have cards from other companies that grade cards, you can cross them over to PSA, and they even do an autograph authentication service as well. But for us, we're just going to be selecting the standard grading option. Now, the service level is probably the most important section of the entire PSA submission form. This is where you are going to tell PSA what you are going to be sending in terms of the service level. Now, do note that there is a value of cards aged 1979 or older, but then there's also a value of cards aged 1980 and to present. So the estimated turnaround on these are 45 days and a maximum declared value of $500. So this is basically going to be the card that you are submitting is worth up to $500 US. From there, the price per item is $24.99 per card. Notice that there is a value plus option, which you can pay a little bit more, have the same maximum declared value, but also increase the turnaround time by about 15 days. As the value of your cards begin to increase, so will the price per item, but also will the estimated turnaround. So generally, the more expensive your cards are worth, the faster that PSA is going to turn it around to you. Whenever you get into the Express and Super Express option, this is also going to give you access to grader's notes to give you a little bit more insight as to why that card received that grade. But for our Disney Lorcana Enchanted cards, we are just going to be selecting the value 1980 to present option with a 45-day turnaround at a cost of $24.99 per card. Next up, you are going to be entering the items and their declared value. So here I just have a screenshot of one where I began to type in the Lady Tremaine Enchanted. And you can see here that it's going to populate a lot of different options. You can see that the first option is the English card, but the second option is the French. So make sure that you are typing in the proper card and selecting the correct card to avoid any sort of turnaround delays or any sort of inconvenience from PSA's in whenever they're authenticating your cards. Make the grader's life a lot easier. So now let's get into the pricing. So with my 4 cards added to my cart, right now I am looking at about $100 US to send these 4 cards to PSA. It is important to note that PSA does not pay for your inbound or outbound shipping. They will bill this to you. So whenever you go to actually complete your shipping and billing options, you will have 2 options. You'll have the option to ship the cards on your own, meaning you package it up and you take it to either UPS or FedEx respectively, and you pay the inbound shipping fee, whatever that is. Or you can purchase a prepaid label, which is what I recommend doing. What this will do is this will basically bundle the inbound shipping as part of your invoice, if you will. And generally, whenever I did that, it was just super easy. I just rolled up to the FedEx office, I gave them a QR code, they printed off the label, and I was on my way. I didn't have to do anything at the actual FedEx store other than simply giving them a QR code to scan in the store. Now you'll notice here, I'm going to do a few different breakdowns here, but basically after the service, you have 2 options. You can have this sent to a PSA vault, which is technically the official vault for eBay. And basically the cards after grading will be sent to a secure vault rather than to you. I know that people used to do this with like very rare and luxury designer shoes. They'd be like, I think GOAT was the service. They had like a vault system. So basically you have the option, rather than having the cards returned to you, you could send it to your own PSA vault, or you can have the items shipped back to you, which is what I'm doing here. So this final screenshot is a total pricing breakdown of what I'm submitting. I submitted that standard value option at $24.99 per card. My inbound shipping, the prepaid shipping that I opted to purchase through PSA, is $29.42 for my location. The return shipping is $34.99. So bringing the grand total of the shipment to PSA, the service, getting the cards graded, and return shipping to $164.37. So this is why I oftentimes say, if you are going to send cards out for grading, it is better to do them in bulk. It is better to send off as many cards as you can, or that you want to, so that way you're not constantly sending out, these PSA shipments, getting charged shipping over and over again. If I were to take these 4 cards and decide, okay, I'm going to send these off today and maybe these in a few months, I get it if you have to do that, but ultimately you're going to be sending more packages to PSA and you're going to be incurring more shipping costs. All right, so now that we've submitted our order to PSA, let's go ahead and prepare the package for shipping to PSA. You'll need a few things before you begin. You will need a box of some nature, an appropriately sized box. You will need some bubble wrap. You will need some cardboard. You'll need some rubber bands, and you'll also need some of these semi-rigid card protectors. They do not recommend using top loaders or these hard plastic shell encasements. they recommend and ask that you send it off in one of these semi-rigid card protectors like seen here. It's also recommended to put the cards inside a sleeve of some nature. I'm actually using Dragon Shield Perfect Fit here. It's also important to note that you will not receive any of the contents back except for your cards in their slabs whenever they're done. You're not going to get the rigid holders back. You're not going to get the sleeves back. You're not going to get anything back. It's going to come back in its own box. The only thing you'll have is your graded cards. All right, so let's go ahead and package these up. So I'm going to do Pete first. These are fresh semi-rigid holders, so it's going to be a little finicky here. But let's go ahead and slide Pete on into the holder. And there, I'm happy with that. So Pete packaged, ready to go. Let's go ahead and do the Ariel next. I like to think I can get a system down here. So I'd like to get that fully opened. Let's go ahead and slide Ariel down in here. Okay, Ariel's locked and loaded. Let's go ahead and get Morph in here. Let's go ahead and get Morph. Again, this is the most stressful part because I have had these protected for a number of months now. They're finally going off. So there's Morph. You know what, it's gonna bother me. I'm gonna try to straighten Morph up here. There we go, a little bit better. And last but not least, let's go ahead and get Tremaine in here. Get her protected up. Slide it right on in, perfect. All right, so now the cards are adequately protected inside the recommended method by PSA. All right, so next up is going to be actually stacking these in the appropriate manner. So again, they ask for you to package these in the order they are on the submission form. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be taking just some cardboard that's vaguely the size of the rigid holders, and I'll start with Tremaine on the bottom here. And I'll take another piece of cardboard and go ahead and place Pete next per the submission form. I'll place another piece of cardboard and I will place Morph next. And I'll place another piece of cardboard and I'll place our Ariel on top with one more piece of cardboard. Now, at this point, we probably want to take some rubber bands of some nature here. So I'm actually going to take some rubber bands and package this up. And one more rubber band for safe measure. So went ahead and just kind of did like a double little sandwich style here. All the cards in the order within this little stack of cardboard. And next up, I'm actually going to do a little bit of wrapping. Now this is actually bubble wrap I received for my first PSA order, but just gonna do the very responsible thing and just do some bubble wrapping here. Just make sure they're nice and protective. Might not use all of this, but it's free cardboard, am I right? So there we go. Cards, nice and protective. So next up, we just have a little standard size box here. Just going to place the PSA order down inside the box. Also going to follow this up with just a little bit more bubble wrap. Never too safe than sorry here. Honestly, I feel pretty adequate with this submission. And next thing you know, we're going to go ahead and close the box. And then from here, what you'll actually do is you'll take your order and place the shipping label on top, whether you're paying it for yourself. But also important to note that they will ask for you to place a sticker. There is a part of the order form to go on the side of the box. Be sure to do that. And yeah, I think with this being said, we are going to send off our 4 enchanted cards to PSA for grading. So hopefully you all enjoyed this little overview. Can't wait to have those 4 cards join the collection here. I hope this was helpful. This was a learning curve for me as well, and I'm learning every single day inside this Disney Lorcana community. So be sure to subscribe for additional Lorcana content, and we'll see you all inside a video very soon.